Thank you again for choosing Trapp Cadillac Chevrolet.
Trapp Cadillac Chevrolet has been serving South Louisiana for over 50 years. That's right, 50 years. No matter how much Trapp has grown, you can count on hometown feel, friendly service every time you stop it. Our unmatched service and diverse Chevrolet, Cadillac, and pre-owned inventory has set us apart as the preferred car dealer in South Louisiana. We're also known for our outstanding auto repair service, changing your oil quickly and easy financing.
We promise to always give the most in your auto buying experience here at Trapp Cadillac Chevrolet in Houma.
Welcome to Bayou Time. I'm Jacob DeGate and glad to be your host. Joining now via Zoom in Baton Rouge, we have State Representative Beryl Amedee. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, sir. Always a pleasure.
All right. It's, I believe, the third special session of the year that's got y'all busy in Baton Rouge. That's going to go through most of November 25th or 26th, I believe. Can you tell us, I guess, a general background on the purpose for the reason why the governor called this special session?
Sure. So this is a special session on tax reform, and our goal is to deal with the structure of our how we do taxes in Louisiana. One of the things we found is our tax structure is so complicated that it makes us not competitive against our neighboring states or even across all of the southern states. When a business is deciding whether it wants to locate to Louisiana, we've been told that they've had to hire extra staff, CPAs and analysts, just to determine whether it's going to be profitable or not by the time they deal with all of the variations in our tax structure. So we're trying to streamline and do away with a lot of the complexity in our business tax structure. We're also trying to lower the rate of income tax, individual income tax for our families, residents, our small businesses. So if we can lower the rate and uncomplicate things, it's our hope that that will help Louisiana to grow economically. And that way, whenever there are good jobs here, whenever things are easier on businesses, that means that we can probably draw a lot of our people back to Louisiana. We've lost so many people over the last several years to outmigration, and we love our neighboring states, but honestly, we want our people back. So we're trying to make it possible for people to have better paying jobs, better opportunities here, and to give some taxpayer relief to all individuals, those of us who are already here. So that's the goal.
All right. I know the House has had an opportunity to vote on several bills. Can you tell us, the status of those and in which each thing that those bills accomplish?
Yes. So there are several bills that have made their way through the House now, and they're going over to the Senate side. The first one is House Bill 1, which is the one that flattens the rate for individual income tax. We currently have 3 tax brackets in Louisiana, and the lowest one is 1.85%, and then the highest one is about 4.5%. And by lowering the rate and flattening the rate to an even 3%, and making it so that the lowest income earners in Louisiana won't pay any income tax at all, that would be individuals who earn less than $12,500 a year. It's going to be fair across the board. It's going to be some tax relief for virtually everyone. It's going to uncomplicate the way that we file our income taxes every year. So that's a benefit should be a benefit to the whole state. So the next bill that's already passed the House and going over to the Senate is House Bill 7. And this one undedicates certain funds. As you probably know, our state constitution has expanded significantly over the years, and we have placed a whole lot of special funds into the Constitution, locking up that money. Now, every time we've done that, it's because that money was so important that the voters wanted to be sure that it was very difficult to access it. So we put it in the Constitution so that the legislature really can't touch it, even when there's a budget shortfall. This is why we end up having to always tap into education and healthcare funding. Those are the largest portions of our budget, so that's where the big money sits. By undedicating funds and moving them from the Constitution into the statutes, it will be easier to access those funds when needed, if needed. And also, as time goes on, the state's priorities change a bit. So what may have been a top priority in the 1990s, perhaps, may not be such a high priority today. So it's better to move those back into statute and let them be more accessible, more flexible, and more able to move with the times in what we prioritize. Another bill that's already headed over to the Senate is one that deals with the inventory tax. It simply makes the inventory tax a local option. So every parish will have to decide whether to keep it, phase it out, or do away with it quickly. And if they choose to phase it out or do away with it quickly, the state will send funding to them to offset that. And the last one I see that's already cleared the House and made it over to the Senate side is House Bill 13, which sets a government growth limit. We call that the GGL. You probably remember talk about an expenditure limit, but this one's a little different. This one says that the government can't expand, can't grow any faster than the indicators that it'll be tied to, which have to do with the economy and population and such. So those are over on the Senate side, and the Senate will take those up in committee very shortly.
Okay, and so these passed all, I guess, with the supermajority in the House, and they'll have to pass, is that right? They'll also have to pass, with the 2/3 majority in the Senate as well?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. So we're expecting good things. Those are the bills that are already moving and headed over from the House to the Senate are the bills that should be fairly easy to get a lot of agreement upon.
Okay. We do have to take a quick break, but when we come back, I know there's some more bills that need to be voted on and constitutional amendment as well. We can talk about all that when we get back. Stay tuned for more right here on HTV.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
Welcome back to Bayou Time. I'm Jacob DeGate, and I'm joined via Zoom in Baton Rouge by State Representative Beryl Amedee. Thanks again for joining us. We were talking a little bit before the break about, the special session, everybody's favorite topic, taxes, which this one seems to primarily deal with. We went over several bills that have already passed the House that need to go to the Senate, and I believe there was one more that we need to address, the corporate franchise tax that has passed, the bill dealing with that has passed in the House. Can you tell us exactly what that one does?
Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot it a moment ago, but the bill that deals with the franchise tax, right now, the franchise tax is already set to roll off when the budget meets certain conditions. And we expect that we might meet those conditions as early as January. But we're moving a bill this session to try and make it roll off anyway. So it's a bill that actually ends the franchise tax in Louisiana. And that one has cleared the House and it's over on the Senate side. And so I have a short list of the bills that are going to be heard on the House floor today, and those include House Bill 2, which will lower the corporate income tax rate. I think it's currently around 7%. It's going to bring it down to 3.5. A bill that proposes to tax digital services, that's House Bill 8. That one, the easiest way to explain that one is, you remember Blockbuster, when we used to go and rent movies?
Sure.
And when you check out, you were renting a physical, usually a CD, to bring home and play. Well, Blockbuster's gone, and now people do live streaming services and other electronic possibilities for their entertainment. And so this bill proposes that we would put a sales tax on digital goods because so many items nowadays have moved to digital, books and movies and stuff, that without being able to tax the physical items anymore, that's been a loss in revenue. So that bill is going to be heard in the House today. Another one is a bill, House Bill 12. It moves certain funds from the Constitution to statutes. And I mentioned a bill earlier to undedicate funds, House Bill 7, and I was actually confusing it with this one. So House Bill 7 that has already cleared the House and it's going over to the Senate deals with certain funds that are not being used, that are underutilized, and really undedicates them, unlocks them. Whereas House Bill 12 is to take some funds that currently exist in the Constitution and move them to statute so that they're easier to access and not so locked away. Because we really shouldn't have such things in the Constitution, in a good Constitution that's only dealing with the very foundational basics. All of these other things really should have been in statute all along. And so another bill that's going to be heard in the House today is simply a House Bill 21. It's going to require the Department of Revenue to annually give an estimate on aviation fuel collection. So I don't know that that's any big major part of tax reform, but it fits in with the call. And obviously there's a need to get this information. So those are some of the bills we're going to be hearing on the House floor today. In House committees today, there are other bills that are moving. One is House Bill 5, which deals with teacher pay raises, making them permanent. This bill has already made it out of one committee, which is Education. And today it's going to be heard in Appropriations, which is the Money Committee. And what this bill proposes is that the state is going to pay down the UAL for school districts. That way they won't have that payment anymore. It'll free up that funding, and they're going to be able to give, in fact, they'll be required to use that money to give pay raises to teachers and staff. And that will make it permanent, and that will bring it to a local school district level. So there's a whole lot of love going on for that bill. And
now, is that the bill that's going to, I guess, require a constitutional amendment to vote on in March? I believe there was one that deals with teacher that will free up some money for the teachers' pay raise that I believe it may deal with that.
This particular bill is, I don't think this one's a constitutional amendment. I could be wrong. I would look that up for you. But there will be constitutional amendments going on the ballot in March. And March 29th, I believe, is the date that's in the bill that calls for a ballot election in March. So any of the constitutional amendments that pass out of this special session will be on the ballot in March for the voters. And when we're moving things out of the Constitution into statute, those are going to have to be voted on by the people. Just a lot of this changing of how we do the budget will have to go before the voters, especially the bill that rewrites Article 7 of the Constitution. Article 7 is actually longer than, I think, our whole original state constitution that was written in the early 70s. We've been told how many words it has. I think it has more than 7,000 words. So it's extremely long. And so there's a lot in Article 7 that really doesn't need to be in the Constitution. And there are certainly ways to form our state budget better and make it less complicated. So that proposal will be before the voters in March, assuming everything passes this session.
All right. Well, you certainly got your hands full there. And unfortunately, they don't give you a lot of time to study these bills. You sometimes getting them the night before, or, it's really, you get a bunch of them, and really, it's a tough job that y'all have. But thank you for all you're doing over there, and we appreciate you coming on and informing the people.
Well, thank you very much. We were given early drafts so that we could begin thinking about it, but there's nothing like getting the actual bill with a digest and a fiscal note and all that to really help us to know what we're voting on. But yes, some of these are really long, 140-page bills. So yeah, right. It's some work, but we have good staff too.
Stay tuned for more right here on HTV.
At Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.